the case of the negotiations. We had the negotiation, we had J.D. Vance suddenly leaving Islamabad, Pakistan, then Donald Trump announcing blockade on Iranian ports. What does blockade mean in your opinion?
He's blockading himself inside his 4-year-old psyche. That would be the best definition. Well, he thinks that this is a genius move. In his mind, Iran is blockading the world, which is not. Obviously, nobody explained to him how the 5-tier passage through the Strait of Hormuz works. So, in his very childish mind, okay, so I'm going to blockade them, Iran as a whole, not only the Strait of Hormuz, but all the Iranian ports. So this is okay. Stupid doesn't even begin to describe it. First of all, to impose a blockade, you need an armada. Where's the American armada? Nowhere to be seen. Nobody knows where they are. In fact, people know some of it where it is. Which one is it? It's in the Arabian Sea, but very, very far in the Gulf of
Abraham
Oman.
Lincoln. It's Abraham
The
Lincoln.
Sorry. So my brain is mush already. The Abraham Lincoln is, let's say, in the eastern part of the Gulf of Oman, practically in the Arabian Sea, more in the Arabian Sea than in the Gulf of Oman. And the other assholes, they are in the coast of Namibia, the George H.W. Bush. Why? Because they are cowards. They cannot cross Suez and go through the Red Sea. Because guess who's there just waiting? Our friends Ansarallah, the Houthis. So they are circumnavigating Africa to escape from the Houthis. This in itself is absolutely it's outstanding, isn't it? So they have what, 2 or 3 destroyers, not much. I was talking to Nima before we started. I wrote 2 articles back to back, yesterday and today. But because the editorial processes are so slow, at the time we were talking, it's 10 p.m. in Southeast Asia, 6 p.m. in Moscow, they still have not been published. But in the first article, which you're going to see later, I detail all the minimum requirements needed for this invincible armada to start applying a blockade based on military calculations, and even what one of those eternally retired military men in the US who become CNN talking heads, in this case, Stavridis. He was saying, look, we're going to need all that when we don't have it. So this is all detailed in the column. So until they muster all this armada in position, it's going to take quite a while. For the moment, technically, we have a blockade because CENTCOM said there is a blockade. But apparently, it's a blockading 2 parallel tracks. One is only Iranian ships and ships that go back and forth from and to Iran. These are blockaded. Theoretically, everybody else is not blockaded. This means Western ships aligned with the US, Europe, the South Koreans, Japanese, whatever, coming from other ports in the Persian Gulf, in the Emirates, for instance. So how they're going to enforce and police all that? And considering how slow the machinery of the Pentagon works, this could take months to put in place, not even weeks, but months. So for the moment, we already had a fantastic case today of the first ship who, after the proclamation of the blockade, actually transited the Strait of Hormuz. Very important. Chinese owned. They were broadcasting on an open channel for every tracker on the planet to see Chinese owned and crew. So everybody knows. It belongs to a Chinese company in Shanghai, but is sailing under a Malawi flag. Very, very interesting. And even more interesting, he did not leave from Iran. He left from Sharjah, Emirates. So technically, it's not a target for the Americas because it left from a port that is not an Iranian port. So they passed. No problem. They paid the toll in crypto yuan, no problem. But this means that the blockade, technically the blockade exists, but it's not applying. They don't know how to enforce it. For instance, there was not a single American ship to go check if this tanker was what he was saying it was. Nothing. So once again, Nima, this is a gigantic PR op, essentially. Nobody knows how this is going to be enforced, how they're going to regiment this invisible armada, how long this is going to take, and worse, much, much worse. And this, I had a confirmation with one of my Chinese sources, is that if they start threatening to harass Chinese tankers, I'm not even talking about Iranian shadow fleet tankers going to China, but Chinese-owned tankers, like this one who crossed today. It's Chinese-owned with a Malawi flag. The PLA Navy is going to send a task force. And this task force is going to be very close to the positioned American task force. So can you imagine, Nima? Between the Sea of Oman and the Arabian Sea, we have practically a face-to-face of the PLA Navy and the US Navy. And this is a done deal. The Chinese are just waiting to see if CENTCOM has the balls to, first of all, interdict a Chinese tanker. Are they going to board this Chinese tanker? Are they going to redirect this Chinese tanker to Djibouti, for instance, an example? Or are they going to try to sink a Chinese tanker if the Chinese tanker refuses? So this is what the whole planet is waiting. If push comes to shove, this is where we're getting at. And all that to tell you, Nima, and our audience, that this is not a blockade of Iran. This is a blockade of China, essentially, disguised as a blockade of Iranian ports. This is the American Holy Grail, which goes in parallel with something very worrying that is happening concerning Indonesia. The Indonesians are trying to hedge their foreign policy. So they have Prabowo going to Moscow, where he met with Putin yesterday. And I'll say we need more collaboration on the oil field, etc., blah, blah, blah. But they have their Minister of Defense signing a sort of partnership with the Secretary of Forever Wars in Washington. We still don't know the details about all that. What is being spun in DC is that sooner or later the Americans are going to start sending troops for training in Indonesia. Can you imagine the Chinese, the Russians, and other BRICS members when they look at this? Obviously, they're going to pick up the phone call Prabowo and say, okay, what are you playing at? We facilitated your membership in BRICS as a full BRICS member. And you're coming with this gimmick now? We still don't know how this is going to evolve. But it's very, very worrying for one single larger-than-life reason. Guess which nations border the Strait of Malacca? Malaysia and Indonesia. Not Singapore. is down there. The strait itself is between. I crossed the strait, even navigating many years ago. On one side is Malaysia, on the other side is Indonesia. This is the Strait of Malacca. And obviously, everybody who follows Mackinder, Spikeman, Mayhem, you name it, the whole blah, blah, blah about Eurasia, Heartland, Rimland, and all that knows that China started to diversify its sources of energy to escape from Malacca. I've been writing about this for over 20 years. This is one of the big stories of the 20th century, how China managed so far to escape the Strait of Malacca, but not all the time, because everything that comes from the Persian Gulf goes through the Arabian Sea, has to cross the Strait of Malacca to get to the South China Sea and then to China. So China is still, I would say, hostage of the Strait of Malacca. But we can see that the American game, it's always the same thing. It's thalassocratic. It's after Britannia rules the waves, America rules the waves, and ruling the bottlenecks. So if they cannot get what they want from Hormuz, which is going to be a big setback, they will concentrate on Malacca. There's no question about that. That's why this whole thing is very, very worrying. And it's happening at the same time.
I think the practical difficulties that the United States has right now, as you've mentioned, Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier is far away from the Iranian coast. Then yes. How is that going to be able? How they're going to be able to to blockade the Strait of Hormuz or the waterway toward?
Because it's good question, Nima. Because they don't have the balls to go to the Persian Gulf or to the Strait of Hormuz. They're going to block the exit. And the exit is very, very far away. It's in the Gulf of Oman. It's exactly in this area where the Gulf of Oman, it's the same sea. It's ridiculous, but it's the same. I was driving there last year when we were shooting our documentary. It's beautiful. The Makran coast in southeast Iran, in Sistan Baluchistan province, all the way to the Iran-Pakistan border. So from the port of Chabahar in Sistan Baluchistan in Iran, and the port of Gwadar in the Arabian Sea in Baluchistan in Pakistan, it's less than 100 kilometers. And in between, somewhere, we have this artificial division between Gulf of Oman and Arabian Sea. It's the same thing, essentially. But there is an artificial border in the middle. Basically, the Americans are to the east side of this border. They will not dare to get closer to the inside the Gulf of Oman, because they will be very close to Chabahar. And there is a military base in Chabahar. By the way, they bombed, if I'm not mistaken, they bombed this military base in Chabahar already, the Americans. So they're going to be very far away. So there's going to be, let's say, the American blockade, the line of the American blockade, that's where it's going to be. In between Gulf of Oman and the Arabian Sea. Once again, very far away from the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah.
It's so wide as well, but then
yes.
we know they have to use some sort of speedboats to do that. Without speedboats, they're not going to be able to do it. It's impossible.
No. And helicopters, Nima. To board a plane, you need a mix of speedboats and helicopters, a lot of them.
Or maybe drones.
And drones as well. But the Iranian defenses, they know all that. And they are pre-positioned all along the coast, along Sistan Baluchistan as well, all the way to the border. So, wow, the possibilities of serious clashes are gigantic, of course. and it's going to be really hardcore. And they would need to have really a massive armada to do this, and they don't. And they don't. And these two aircraft carriers, they're going to be sitting ducks anywhere they are, Nima. They're going to be sitting ducks for the long-range Iranian ballistic missiles. It doesn't matter that they are 800 kilometers from the Strait of Hormuz. Doesn't matter. For the Iranian missiles who are positioned in the southern coast near the Persian Gulf, not a problem. They have a range of 1,500. No problem. So the only plausible explanation for the moment is that, once again, this is a PR coup. This is, let's say, another instrument to see if Iran cracks. Obviously, Iran is not going to crack. Interfering, of course, with the possibility of the negotiations continuing. For instance, the Pakistanis are spinning like crazy that there's going to be another meeting on Thursday. Yeah. There's no confirmation anywhere in Tehran, in Washington, or elsewhere that there's going to be another meeting on Thursday. For the moment, people are still digesting what happened on Saturday. And now we have a pretty good idea of what happened via our friends like Professor Marandi, via Iranian members of parliament who were inside the room. And when you read what they, it's mind-boggling. But something that we already suspected, the nuggets of information, that the Americans had absolutely no clue about the technical dossiers. Nothing. They didn't know shit. We already knew that. Second, apparently, according to Arakshi himself, in the beginning, the conversation with Vance was relatively civilized. But after the direct interference from the genocidal in Tel Aviv, the whole thing went downhill. I think this is confirmed by every source from the Iranian side and from some Pakistani sources as well. So people are still digesting all that. So say, okay, so why did they go? Why did they go to Islamabad in the first place? Well, to buy time, obviously. Second, to in a sense throw Vance into the fire. Trump is a very, very nasty character, and he knew that that's why he didn't send Marco Rubio in the first place. They went to see a bloody UFC match on the night of the most important diplomatic negotiation in the history of U.S.-Iran relations in 47 years. It's pathetic. Yeah? It's pathetic. And they put Vance in the line of fire, knowing that he had no autonomy to decide anything, hence those maybe 12 phone calls to the White House. So he couldn't decide anything on the spot. And then in the end, he came up with that stupid excuse. Iran was not prepared to accept our final offer. What kind of negotiation is that? These idiots. Okay, send these idiots to a carpet bazaar in Iran so they know how the art of the deal works. This is how the art of the deal works. Obviously, they have no clue about it. Okay, so the possibility of another encounter this week, I would say it's minimal, especially two days from now. I don't see it happening. But this is where we are at the moment, Nima. At least we now have a pretty good idea of what really happened in Islamabad. And I would say merit to the Pakistanis because they tried everything. Irrespective of our judgment about the current I would say military junta with the civilian disguise, the current regime in Islamabad, but they did try they work their asses off. And once again, I talked about this somewhere else, but I think it's for our audience is important. There is an outstanding photo. I think it was shot by a Pakistani photographer. You see the back of Vance. not his face. But you see the face of the Pakistani foreign minister, Dar, and he's absolutely dejected. He's like, he wants to kill himself. But on the right side of the photo, talking to Vance, we see Field Marshal Asim Munir. And you can read his face. He is pissed to death. He's pissed to death. He was, we can paraphrase, even if we don't know exactly what he was saying, but we can understand that he was telling Vance, so you come to my country to fuck us up after all the work that we had to put this thing together. You know, think seriously of what you're doing. And Vance and Munir is, come on, Munir is not intimidated by anybody. A shark comes in front of Munir, the shark runs away. So I can imagine Vance, who has no international experience, especially at this level, he was probably terrified, right? So I think this photo tells a lot of what happened in the background.
I think he saw the quality of the Iranian negotiator. Basically,
Yeah.
he's not even comparable with Ghalibaf. Many people don't know Ghalibaf. He's a gigantic,
Okay, Nima, tell us what you know about Ghalibaf in 1 minute. Okay.
He has a lot of experience, Pepe. He revolutionized the whole police system of Iran. You know, when he was long before 10, 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, he was the mayor of Tehran. He was, right now he's the head of the parliament, but he's a gigantic when it comes to the negotiations, his capabilities, his ability to negotiate, to talk. He's just unbelievable. He's not even comparable with J.D. Vance. I would say none of these people who were in Islamabad negotiating, they have no, clue about who are these people. I think J.D. Vance, when you hear J.D. Vance talking about, before leaving Islamabad, he just perceived that who are these people? Because they know what they're talking about. They have the full authority about what they're doing. They know what they're doing, and they have the whole framework from the Iranian leadership. They don't need to call anybody in Iran. But Ghalibaf, Pepe, I would say Ghalibaf is one of the most, he's so educated. He's so civilized. He's so, he respects everybody in the room. Everybody, but he's so strategic in the way that he talks. So strategic. I saw him for many years, how he was, and he is a gigantic person. I think the Trump administration would perceive as time goes by. I think within having the first round of negotiations, J.D. Vance has some sort of understanding of who Ghalibaf is. The guy is not there to intimidate anybody, but he just talks the way, he's so charming when he talks, but he knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's seeking for. Yeah, he knows everything. The guy is not, I would say one of the best negotiators that Iran could bring to the table. And he's the head of negotiations right now on the part of Iranian delegation.
Absolutely. Nima, there's something that considering what you have learned and talked to your connections, your sources, there is a lot of spinning about the fact that Iran might have offered 5 years without enrichment. And the Americans from the beginning wanted 20 years. The IRGC denied it completely. And obviously, we did not hear in detail from Ghalibaf or from Arakshi if they actually made this offer.
No confirmation. Nothing from the Iranian side. We've heard nothing of that sort about 5, 6, 2 years, nothing of that sort. And on the other hand, I think it's so, it's so bizarre to put out that Iranian they have accepted 5 years of, some sort of suspension of the nuclear program of Iran. That's impossible, Pepe. It's impossible. Looking at the reality of what's going on right now in Iran, it's impossible. They're not going to do that. And the other part is the whole negotiations on the uranium, nuclear program, it's a very technical issue. It's a lot to be done with the technical teams rather than the political figures. I think that's totally, they can do something technically, just they can confirm, they can negotiate together. But coming out with this sort of idea that Iran has accepted 5 years, I think it's still a lie.
Right.
They're just putting that they want to make some sort of atmosphere to favor them in the negotiations. It's all about propaganda. As you mentioned, it's PR, nothing more than that. And because nobody, you mentioned the member of parliament who put it, he's a, I would say, 100% reliable source. He said that what was all about. He said it was all about the Strait of Hormuz. The United States was asking 20 years. They said no. This is the main, reasons that he mentioned. Basically, the Strait of Hormuz and the Iranian nuclear program.
Enrichment. Yes. There's another thing. Let me see. Now it's escaped me completely. Let's see if I still remember. No, I can't remember. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but okay, Pepe. But looking at what is happening right now, and we had UAE going to China,
and they get slapped in. I would say they got a kick in the mouth. Can you believe, Nima, that the arrogant, self-entitled son of MBZ goes to Beijing, meets Xi Jinping, and lectures Xi Jinping about China's relationship with Iran? Can you believe this? This is what happened. And the Chinese foreign ministry, oh, stupid towel head. Go back to your place, go back to the rat place that you belong to. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But confirms once again that the UAE is at war with Iran for all practical purposes. And the IRGC is going to have to do something about it. There's no question. They already said, I would say the most lenient observation that they made in public is that we refuse to pay the toll booths in the Strait of Hormuz. So what are they going to do? Send an Emirati armada? It's ridiculous. So, but for all practical purposes, this is very, very serious, and it's indirect. And don't forget, they are a full member of BRICS, as Iran. So we have two BRICS members at war with each other. And obviously, because BRICS is in a coma nowadays, I assume today and tomorrow in Moscow. It's in Moscow, in Beijing. Now my brain is totally mush. The meeting between Lavrov and Wang Yi in Moscow. Sorry, between today and tomorrow. This is part of that. They're gonna have to talk about this because they are the top two BRICS members, and they have two members at war. And of course, the fact that the UAE is a Zionist station in the Persian Gulf, they are deeply linked to the international Zionist system, and especially the money circulation, with all their promises of investment in the American economy, building data centers in the UAE, etc. This is I see this as the key problem all across the Persian Gulf. What is Iran going to do with the UAE? And not the UAE, with Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Dubai, there's not much to do because the business model of Dubai is already dead. But Abu Dhabi is another story. So how they're going to deal with Abu Dhabi, it's still up in the air. But it cannot go on like this. because for all practical purposes, coming from Abu Dhabi, it's war. And when you compare to Saudi Arabia, which used to be pro-war against Iran, and now they are practically begging the Trump administration, this in the past 24 hours, to stop the blockade of the non-blockade, because they know what could happen geoeconomically. Obviously, the Trump administration never considers these details. They're too sophisticated. It's too sophisticated for them. They don't even understand the ramifications, but the Saudis do. So, well, the whole GCC thing is collapsing fast in front of our eyes. Not only is already split, but it's disintegrating internally on the side that it's, let's say, more warmongers against Iran. Qatar and Oman, they already know what they're going to do. They are neutral. They are trying to establish a relationship with Iran. They know where this thing is going. The new juridical regime in the Strait of Hormuz is going to be between Iran and Oman. They have already started talking about it. On the Iranian side, is more or less defined. Then they have to discuss sharing the toll booths. Exactly. And none of that is going to change. And American blockades imposed by a 4-year-old who now thinks that he is Jesus, they're not going to change anything. Anything. And that's the thing, Nima, because once again, this whole mess propels us to the big picture, which once again is this is yet another chapter of the big war, which is the US against China. And they're starting to use every trick in the book. So if they lose the Strait of Hormuz, that's it. They're going to attack in Malacca or somewhere else. No question.